over to you.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks. Just in Melbourne, lockdown. So we had some announcements this morning that there's been some changes. So they're bringing in, I think, an extra 2 training partners to every game. They've got some kind of injury surveillance reporting mechanism. Just wondering how that stuff has kind of affected you guys, how many training partners you've got travelling with you, things like that.
Well, yes, the new rules obviously that were introduced last night, no bonus points is obviously a new one, but also, yes, extended benches. So obviously we used to have a bench of 10 and now we've got 12. For us, obviously having to relocate from Melbourne, we've literally only brought the 12 along with us, preparing for that 10 bench scenario. So it's exciting for those 2 players that thought they may be in a rotational situation that they'll actually get the opportunity to take to the court and experience SSN. So we've got our whole list of 12 here with us, and yeah, it'll be exciting for some of those to debut in the black and white. We are actually looking into ways to possibly extend our list. But to bring someone up from Melbourne, we're going to obviously have to go through a whole quarantine and exemption process there as well. So for home teams or teams that maybe haven't had to relocate, they may be able to obviously extend their list even that little bit further, but it's just another challenge for us that we're going to have to continue to rotate, get player load and player management as best as we possibly can. So each game we can put our best foot forward. So challenging times, but we've already been hit with a few, so I think we're embracing it pretty well. Oh, hang on, Adrian. Sorry, I can see you talking just off mute. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, again now.
Hi, Maddie. It's Adrian from Australian Associated Press in Sydney. Just checking, first of all, with the delays that we've had for the start of the competition, is that when we're going to see the likes of Kelsey and yourself prepare time with it?
Well, yeah, I think as much as it's been, we always talk about netball having the longest preseason, and yet this has blown it completely out of proportion. So, it's been long. It's been very different to what we'd imagined both of our rehabs to look like. Having time away in isolation and not being able to be with, strength and physios. So it has been very challenging and different than what we had thought. But at the same time, this extended time definitely puts both of us, or has given us the opportunity to put our best foot forward and prepare as well as we can. I'm very much, both of us are very much in the mix this weekend. As I said, we've got the 12 of us up here. Both of us are looking forward to taking to the court as soon as we possibly can. But I think the major thing that's driving all of us is that we've got 6 brand new faces in our team lineup. Although we're a team of 12, that's half of them have not actually experienced SSN. So we're kind of being very motivated and drawing inspiration from them and their excitement and enthusiasm to obviously don the black and white stripe. So as much as it hasn't been probably the best prep, because the first time we'll actually be able to play competitive netball will be on the weekend due to restrictions not allowing us to have practice matches. It's different, but this whole thing's been challenging and different. So at the same time, we're in the best shape we possibly can be and are looking forward to taking to the court with some of those fresh new faces.
And you made it obviously to the finals last year. Do you think you're capable of going that 1 or 2 steps better this year?
Yeah, I think we are. As I said, the mix of this team is very different to what we even had last year. We have a lot of experience to then not a lot. So that difference is quite vast. But at the same time, as I said, I think these exciting and enthusiastic young fresh faces are what are motivating the likes of Ajiva and myself that have been around for quite some time now. I do think we do have the blend. We have a lot of flexibility within this group to be able to work with that, the introduction of the interchange, getting fresh legs on, even in our preseason, people are putting their best foot forward and having lots of results in fitness testing and even, strength that are better than they've ever seen before. So although it has been a very up and down roller coaster prep for us, and we have not been in control of a lot of it, everyone has made the most of their environment and what they can control, and are in the best shape we possibly could be to take to the court. And as I said, I'm just really excited to see what this group can do, because there are a lot of unknowns, but like we obviously know their potential and know what they can bring. So I can't wait for them to take to the court and get to showcase it all to you guys as well. Go again, Cara. It's all you.
I'm from Netball Scoop, by the way. So the other question I guess I just wanted to ask was around what changes to training you had. So obviously you were initially looking at commencing a season months and months ago. What was it, April?
Yeah. May.
We then kind of went into lockdown, everything happened, you weren't allowed to train anymore. I'm just wondering kind of what the training looked like during that period and when you kind of started to gear up towards the season again.
Well, when we started to go into that lockdown phase, obviously nearly, I think, 6 weeks or so out before the start of the original season in May, we were all put into like isolation. Collingwood were very supportive in being able to distribute as much maybe home equipment as we could to try and continue to process through our strength programs. A lot was more body weight. People like myself, I actually had to move out of my place in Melbourne and relocate back down to down to Geelong with my family. But yeah, we obviously set up home little gyms. We connected every Friday night for like Friday night fun night, and used to do some little team building things. So, you know, because you couldn't have that physical like connection and that face-to-face contact with your team, which is such a given in most years at training, like we had to find ways to be able to connect and build culture and build like relationships, because there are so many new people. So that was kind of challenging, but also fun and exciting at the same time. And then as we started to, obviously a start date was put in place for the 1st of August. Training schedules were done. We started off in really small groups. So we would be at the same venue, but you literally felt like you kind of, although you could see them down the other end, you had no contact with half of your training group. So we were split into groups of 6, some down some end, some down the other, and we would never be able to connect. So that happened for about 3 or 4 weeks. Gradually then we could start to then even do contesting work within those small groups, then some slight long court, but and then obviously progressing into half court scenario work. But for us it's been really hard, because once we were in like that lockdown shutdown phase, like we couldn't introduce new people in, so actually playing a full-fledged match and then let alone being able to get umpires in was just not even an option. So as I said, our preparation compared to other states that have not been in such strict lockdown like rules and regulations is very, very different. But at the same time, this group has been super adaptable and flexible in this approach and going, unfortunately, we cannot control it all. So whatever we can control, we've done our best to make sure we are in really good nick, both physically, mentally and emotionally, because all of us have obviously stepped away from our families, our comfort zones of home, and you know, that stable base to make sure that this season can continue to go ahead and netball can be on our screens for all those fans and the wider community that are screaming out for women's sport on their screens. Well, I mean, of course it was, thrown on us, midway through this preseason, and luckily we have some incredible outside shooters. Gabby Sinclair's quite known for a bit of a long bomb every now and again, but a fresh face that was a training partner that is obviously in our mix of 12 is Nia Allen, young South Australian who came over to be a training partner with us. And she's got a nice long range shot as well. And then we've also got the introduction of an Emma Ride, who's nice and tall, but surprisingly, with the perimeter of where the 2-point shot is, can hit a shot from there as well, like Shimona. But it's just a lot of it is quite strategy based, and it'll be interesting to see how each team kind of works with it in their favour and how they explore it. I think the defenders are the ones that are wrapping their head around it the most and going, hang on, everything we've known was to push them away from the post, and now we want to push them towards it in a certain time frame. So it's going to take a lot of communication, a lot of adaptability, but a full team effort to make sure that you're trying to capitalise on those last 5 minutes to put as much score on the board as you possibly can. But yeah, our young girls are quite fearless and happy to just put it up wherever they need to. So that's really exciting.
Sorry, can I just ask a follow-up to that? From a mid-court player's perspective, from a leader's perspective, how much has things changed for you? I mean, I guess, often, you look to get someone near to the post and what have you, but having someone who comes, close to you, how's that going to change the way guys like yourself might play?
Well, I think, one thing that a lot of people might not even understand, I've even had to go deeper and say, how do I defend a shot? Because if they're that close to the outside perimeter, then I could put a little nice sneaky hand up. I'm not sure I'd be much of a threat. But it is a little bit of a change. As you said, knowing the state of play, you're going to have to obviously be very aware of the score, the time, what your team is looking for, what combinations. There might even be like a quick on and off interchange. So one goal attack is different to the other, and then you might have to put them out a little bit further, a little bit closer. Rebounding positions. There's a lot of things that are going into this new rule. And as a team, as I said, I think we've got the players and the flexibility and rotation in variety of what they all goalers are very different, just like all players, even feeding them are. So I think we've got that capacity to make sure that we can constantly keep our defenders guessing. Like little things like defending on the outside of the circle might be something we see. Who knows? I might get a rejection, and that's a stat I've never ever had before. So we'll see what happens. Go for it.
I was just wondering, because you've had quite a few players out with maternity and injury in the case of Braz, well, both in the case of Braz, I guess. Just wondering, do those players still have much involvement with the team in terms of meetings or even helping with other players and stuff like that?
Yeah, so Braz and Nat are obviously still very much part of our team, part of that wider connected group. We have, even other staff, we have other training partners that have not had the opportunity to come into this hub scenario with us. We've definitely included them on meetings where possible. I'm sure, some of these young girls have got great relationships with them and might connect with them during the week, or asking about certain opponents, people we're going to come up against, any feedback. They're very much still a part of our wider Pies community. We have a lot of family support at home that will not be able to come and watch us play at this current time. So trying to stay connected and trying to feel like we are still very much a full team, even though people are in very different situations. Has its ups and downs, but we've done it as best as we possibly can, and are looking forward to having them and their support continuing throughout this hub scenario in this 2020 season.